Hi everyone, my name is Zach Goidel and I'm here again for Shred Academy's question and answer video series. For those of you who are unaware, all you have to do is visit the link that's on the screen to submit your own questions. Let's get going. One of the best and most simple ways to start getting more comfortable with combining 3 and 5 string sweeps together is to create patterns that gradually become longer. And so what I mean by this is you would start with just simply one of each, whether you start with a 5 and then move to a 3, or start with a 3 and then move to a 5. You start small and you build bigger. For simplicity's sake, for all of the examples of this question, I'm just going to be doing major in first inversion for all of the arpeggios. Let's take a look at 3 string to 5 string and 5 string to 3 string. One thing to point out is that starting on the highest pitch note is a very good idea. Regardless of what you are doing, the highest pitch note will always stand out, whether that be scales, chords, arpeggios, anything. So it makes a lot of sense, because then if it stands out so much, you naturally perceive it as more important. It's very easy to lock in with a metronome rather than trying to lock in with a metronome with some lower pitched note. Another thing to point out is that by using triplet rhythms, it'll line up very nicely with a beat. So if you're playing 8th note triplets, your 3-string arpeggio will be 2 beats, while your 5-string arpeggio will be 4 beats. Or if you are using 16th note triplets, is essentially cut in half from what I just said. So with 16th note triplets, your 3-string arpeggio will be 1 beat, and your 5-string arpeggio will be 2 beats. Let's take a look at some more examples. With a lot of these different examples, you are essentially playing in different time signatures. However, it's, in my opinion, a good idea just to forget about that for now, because it allows you to really focus in on what's important. And in this case, it's clarity and accuracy while combining 5-string and 3-string arpeggios together. Keep pushing yourself, keep making your progressions longer and longer. So you could start by implementing different arpeggios and different inversions and chord progressions and things like that. I would recommend you start like we did, where you just take one shape that you're comfortable with and work on that just to get the fluidity of motion, but then build from there and continue on to push yourself and come up with all kinds of new ideas. There are actually a lot of different ways that you can go about practicing. Practicing slow and speeding it up gradually is probably the most common. But one of the ones that's the most overlooked is what's called practicing in bursts. What this means is, rather than gradually implementing tempo and gradually implementing more speed, you're going to be implementing more notes from a starting point of only 2. And while you are doing this, you're going to be doing so at a tempo that is much faster than what you were currently at for your maximum. So as an example, let's just say your maximum tempo for a specific exercise or riff or whatever is at 140. If 140 is your maximum, you would practice in bursts starting at 145, maybe 150, maybe even 155. And you're starting with just the first 2 notes. Then, as you progress, you're going to go to 3 notes, 4 notes, 5 notes, 6 notes, etc. until you're done with the exercise, all doing so at the faster tempo. For an example, let's say you are trying to improve the speed of a major scale ascending. Let's take a look at what that would look like. Now remember, like I said, you're not going to be playing as slow as I just did. You're going to be practicing at a tempo that's much faster than you can play the entire exercise or solo or riff or whatever you're practicing. However, I just wanted to make sure that for the demonstration it made sense and that it was very clear that you are starting with only 2 notes and then you extend it to the entire exercise or the entire part of music that you're looking to improve. Statements like these are probably the most ignorant statement ever in terms of musical studies. And I don't mean any offense to anyone who believes this or has believed this or anything like that, as there are good songwriters that don't know a thing about music theory. But to say it makes you worse is very far from the truth. The thing is, music theory is one of the most powerful tools as a songwriter that you can have. I'll use an analogy to make this make more sense. It's winter where I live and I hate shoveling snow, so I'll use this. If I were to pay you to come over to my house and shovel the driveway to get rid of all the snow, would you rather actually use a shovel or would you rather use your hands? I mean, it's pretty obvious you would want to use a shovel. Music theory is very similar to that shovel in that it's not necessary. You could remove all the snow with your bare hands. However, it's highly ineffective. It's very inefficient. Music theory is a very powerful tool, like I said. It's going to make you much more creative, much more effective, and a much faster songwriter. This is not to say that music theory has to be used in every situation. But think about it like this. Let's say a painter has his palette, and he has the color blue on his palette. He doesn't have to use the color blue, and in a lot of situations the color blue might not be appropriate. However, as he's painting something, maybe the color blue would be the most effective choice to portray the mood he's looking for in his painting. It's the exact same thing. When you become comfortable with music theory, it becomes very easy for you to match the moods and the emotions that you're looking to portray. Rather than having to guess and check and try and experiment until you come up with something that you like, you might be able to just say, I'm looking for this specific sound. Maybe I should use a Neapolitan chord. Maybe I should use a borrowed chord, maybe secondary chords, or augmented sixth chords, or tritone substitutions, whatever. The point is, it becomes very easy for you to match a theoretical concept with the mood you're looking for. And oftentimes there's multiple options, but you're choosing your options within a much more logical and thought-out process. Obviously, music theory is not necessary to write a song. However, it's absolutely ridiculous to think that it is not one of the most helpful things that you could ever learn. Thanks again, everyone, for joining me today. I had a great time, as always, doing these, and I'm looking forward to the next video in the series. Please remember, submit your questions to the link that's on the screen, and have a great day. Hope you're doing well, and I'll see you soon. Thanks.